Does this feel familiar? Get off. Well, in this video, I'm going to teach you how to beat pressure fighters. And it's probably not what you think. I've seen countless times where a really slick, technically proficient outboxer gets overwhelmed by a pressure fighter just because of their relentless pressure. They might be catching them as they come in, but over time, the pressure fighter just wears them down and eventually dominates the spar or the fight. Now, this is something that's quite common across boxing as a whole. There's three definitive styles in boxing. You've got a pressure fighter, you've got a slugger, and you've got an outboxer. So between these three styles, the slugger usually trumps the pressure fighter usually trumps the outboxer, and the outboxer usually trumps the slugger. So it's kind of like a rock, paper, scissors sort of scenario where it's kind of, different pros and cons of each style trump different pros and cons of the other styles. So how are we going to beat a pressure fighter? Well, what does a slugger do when they're fighting a pressure fighter? What a slugger wouldn't do is go backwards, let the pressure fighter do what they want, get you on the ropes, and then pepper you. So why is this bad and ineffective? Well, there's several reasons why this is bad and ineffective. If you're going back all the time, the judges are watching that and they're seeing that you're not making the fight happen. You're being passive and negative, and the pressure fighter is making the bout happen. You're going to get more fatigued because you're constantly moving around, running away. You're taking away your power because you're stepping backwards, which takes power out of your punches instead of meeting them as they come. And you're also playing to their game. They want you to go backwards. So if you do go backwards, then you're just doing what they want you to do. Okay, and we don't want to do that. Another way is to have a little bit more power behind your punches and go to the body as they come in, because that's going to hurt and it's going to stop them or can make them more reluctant to come forward. Okay, so there's a couple of things you can do to reverse this, but the main strategy I want you to learn from this video, if you take anything away from this video, let it be this: that you need to learn how to bang. That means punch hard, not anything else. Contrary to popular belief, being able to punch hard is all from technique. And I can vouch for this because before I had any good technique, or before I was shown really good technique, I wasn't able to really punch that hard. I could use the strength that I had from lifting weights, but nothing compared to having really good technique that concentrated all my body weight through one or two knuckles. Okay, that is what generates a lot more power, and that is what you're going to be able to use when you've got a pressure fighter coming forwards. If a pressure fighter is always coming forwards at you and you can punch really hard with this great technique that you've learned, then they're not going to want to keep coming forward. And that is how a slugger trumps a pressure fighter. If you just watch the Foreman versus Joe Frazier fight, that's a great example of where a slugger is stopping a pressure fighter from coming forwards by walking them onto super powerful shots. So how do you get good power? You've got to repeat single punches on the pads endlessly until they're landing with precision on the knuckles, with proper kinetic chain, proper movement throughout the body. Okay, making sure that you're staying on balance, you're not coming outside your stance as you throw your punches, and getting good at counters, timing, using feints and draws. Right, these little skills, these tactics or ring IQ, little tricks you can use to make them throw punches as a pressure fighter as they come forwards, and then anticipate that and throw your shots as they come. So being a bit more adaptive with this power, how does that mean you're going to move around the ring? Well, if the pressure fighter's coming forwards all the time, then they're doing the hard work for you instead of you doing the hard work for them by going backwards. Instead, you're just going to stand your ground, have your feet planted and ready to throw those big shots. So when they do come forward, you can bait them, you can use feints to set stuff up, but when they do come forward, you just walk them onto big shots and go to the body as they come, and that's going to stop them coming forward. And best thing about this is because they're coming forwards towards you, trying to pressure you, then you can catch them with your punches and it's like two forces colliding means that there's going to be a bigger impact and more damage done. So you want to catch them as they come forwards, walk them onto the bigger punches. Okay, this is how you're going to stop a pressure fighter, but you need to do that through having the correct technique, being able to plant your feet, load your legs at the right time, push into the ground, really fire from the hips, get the whole kinetic chain moving through. So it's the hips, upper body, arm, or coming back the other way if I'm transferring my weight this way, bringing it back and just walking them onto those big power shots. Again, something super important with this is learning how to punch and land on the knuckles, right? Ever so slightly kink your wrist so that when you do throw a punch, your knuckles come down onto the target and you just, maximize that power because there's such a little surface area where all that force is going through. But what is the reversal of this? Well, if you wanted to stay as an outboxer, then you need to be super effective at taking angles. So as they're coming forwards to try to get you on the ropes, you've got to be good at getting off the center line, taking an angle, and then putting them on the ropes and letting your shots go. So you've got to be super effective at moving, then punching, then moving again. And you've got to do that on a constant repeat the whole of the bout. But as we said, this is going to be pretty tiring for you. If you want to learn how to adapt, switch your styles based on who your opponent is going to be, then this is stuff I teach in Hybrid Warrior Elite. It's my online coaching program. It'll be linked in the description, or go to hybridwarriorelite.com. I'll see you in there. Goodbye.